Stay tuned for some exciting scenes from next week's show.
Make a wish. Have a ball. Dream a dream. Be it all if you want it. You can get it. But to get it, you got to want it. Anything you want to try. Just let go. Fly high.
Brooke Shields, she's a beautiful doll.
It's the Brooke Shields doll with long, beautiful hair you can style in so many ways. To make believe she's a model. You can pose her and pretend she's a teenage star. There's even a ring for you.
Thanks, Brooke.
Brooke Shields, she's a beautiful doll.
With extra outfits that fit almost any fashion doll, each sold separately. Brooke Shields doll comes with a ring, brush, and stand from LJN.
A ticking bomb means trouble for Batman and Robin.
Holy, breaking and entering. It's Batgirl.
Quick, Batgirl. Untie us before it's too late.
It's already too late. I've worked for you a long time, and I'm paid less than Robin. Same job, same employer means equal pay for men and women.
No time for jokes, Batgirl.
It's no joke. It's the federal equal pay law.
Holy act of Congress.
If you're not getting equal pay, contact the Wage and Hour Division, U.S. Department of Labor.
Spock, sabotage the system.
Okay, can we have line 193 again with sabotage, pronounced sabotage?
I don't say sabotage. You say sabotage. I say sabotage.
Now you listen to me, Pop, while I blow my top. Trees! You speak for the trees. Well, I speak for men and human opportunities. For your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering. And biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs!
Your mom had an accident. I'll take you to her. Uh-oh.
Look, Wild Bill!
Who was that?
Some stranger. He said Donnie's mom was hurt. I didn't know if I should go with him.
Well, just don't do what a stranger says. Check it out with an adult you know. Remember, a stranger
can mean danger. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
So tell me why Kevin McCarthy read Green Eggs and Ham when that's not one of the 6 books on the list.
Someone else did that. Didn't Ted Cruz do that a couple years ago?
Raphael?
Yeah. So it's probably the only book they know.
Sure, they don't understand the story or know the story behind it, the premise.
Let's get into this whole cancel culture thing.
Did we do a little cancel culture last week, though? I think we did.
Mary, it's not going to end. It's just going to keep going on and going on.
See,
It's like saying didn't we talk about politics last week?
Oh. But this is huge funny, and before I forget.
Okay.
Because it continues on the gullibility of many donors. And Donnie didn't want the RNC using his image without his permission.
Yeah.
And they said, nah, we're going to use it. So he's expanded, gotten worse on if you want to elect any Republicans and you want to donate to their campaigns, don't give to the RNC. No. Send the money to me, and I will disperse it as I see fit. After I've given myself how many millions, and my sons, and my daughter, and the one son's wife, and the other son's girly friend, then what's left? We'll send out some of that, if we feel like it.
I love it. You know, they made their bed, and now they're...
all snuggled up in it.
And this is the same Donald Trump who, time after time on the campaign trail, got cease and desist letters from every publisher of music that he used, from the Rolling Stones to U2 to REM. Completely ignored them. Completely ignored the cease and desist. Kept playing REM and Neil Young and whatever. So I'm beginning to think that he might be a bit of a hypocrite.
What?
I know.
For reals?
Just beginning to think that.
Oh, I don't know.
I love that of course the money's going to go to him. Of course it is. And you know what? I got no problem with that. I really got no problem with anybody who would give a cent to Donald Trump deserves to have their bank accounts drained.
I don't like him getting the money. You want to send it to the RNC, you want to be that, go ahead. But why would you continue to give it to that little grifter? Well, he's not little.
Far from little.
Woof.
Well, the money is going to go back into the economy anyway because it's going to go into legal fees. So
Just
in a way, it's a stimulus check. They're sending Trump a stimulus check. It's going to go right back into the economy.
So for legal fees, here's my thing. With Cuomo, more women have stepped forward. And again, be it a man complaining about a woman complaining about a man, a woman complaining about another woman, a man complaining about a man, I don't care. Look into it, find out if it's legitimate. And I know we talked about this, but there's this person, 2 people in this house who are just addicted to faux news. Okay. They cannot get enough of, but did you ever hear mention of Trump, really, other than them just simply trying to discredit the women? Somewhere between 16 and 20 of them.
I think it's even higher than that. I thought it was like 25. Whatever. One is enough, obviously.
They didn't have time to talk about that, but they just cannot get enough. And then the nursing home deaths, which is an issue, but how many hundreds of thousands pretty much sit on Trump's lap because it's nothing. It's nothing.
Politics is team sports for these people, and it's really no deeper than that.
But other stations are talking about Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
They are just so ridiculous and one-sided, and I cannot take all of that lying. I can't take it, especially when it's, well, Mary, what about blah? Okay, that's not true. Well, what about, okay, that's not true. Where'd you hear it? All right, if you heard it there, unless it was from one of these 3 people, I just don't want to hear it anymore. If you cannot come up with anything that has any basis in truth, I can't listen to it anymore. Exhausted.
Yeah. We talk about this a lot, how people are in a different or a skewed version of reality, people who listen to or watch Fox News. There's a pizza place a couple blocks from me, and I go there a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, get a slice, and I'm usually the only person in the place. It's run by a couple of, I believe they're Polish, maybe Russian, I'm not sure, but nice people, older couple. And I love going in there, giving them my business, whatever. And over the last few months, we've started having conversations and whatnot. And he's got a TV, usually running CNN. And anyway, I was in there yesterday, and he saw something about the stimulus package, I guess, being approved. And he looked over to me and said, well, looks like the Democrats lost the election. And I agreed with him. Because I'm thinking, we're talking about 2024. And we started talking about it, and he said, my wife and I have voted for Trump. And normally, under normal circumstances, I'm out the door. It's, have a nice day, and I'm gone. But I thought, I want to know what's this about. I mean, this is a guy who, the TV is always on CNN. And, I mean, he may not be a news junkie, but he certainly has access to information, and the information is going into his head. So we talked a little bit about it, and I said, what made you choose Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton? And there was a little bit of the Hillary Clinton propaganda stuff, but mostly it was economic. He started talking about his business and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I understand all that. Now, are you aware of 2 things? That Donald Trump stole millions of dollars from a children's cancer charity. And he said, no, I didn't know that. And I said, it's well documented. Just Google it. Your phone's right there. Google it. Don't take my word for it. Well documented. The Trumps are no longer allowed to operate a charity in New York State because of that. I said, are you aware that several women have accused him credibly of rape? No, I wasn't aware of that. Really? You weren't aware of that? Okay. Well, again, please look into that. And I mentioned his wife, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm just curious, if you did know that, if you knew this to be true, would you still have voted for Donald Trump? And I'm not trying to catch him. Yes. I can see either. And he said, no, I would not have. So what I'm thinking is that information didn't get to him. And why is that? We know it. I mean, we're news junkies to some degree. Yes. But this is a guy who probably spends 14 hours a day in this pizzeria with the TV on, running CNN, and he doesn't know anything about these things?
They would have been covered on CNN.
But it's context. Maybe they were covered, but do they mention that story at 3 a.m. once in the middle of a bunch of other stuff? It isn't the top story. The top story keeps getting hammered into people's heads. Like with the Hillary stuff, somehow that stuck. And it wasn't just Fox News. This isn't a guy who listens to Fox News. And still, somehow...
If he's working that hard, can he actually hear? Does he have opportunity to pay much attention to what's on?
Yeah, every time that I go in there, and I mean, we're in COVID times,
That's
obviously,
true. You
things are a
said
little
you were
different.
the only one in there.
Yeah, I go in there and the TV is on, and it's him sitting across from the TV folding pizza boxes, and his wife is back behind the counter doing the pizza. So I would imagine, and he doesn't seem like a dumb person.
No. Was he aware of all of the bankruptcies?
I didn't even go that far.
You
I
didn't
just started with
need
the two. Yeah, if you can look me in the eye and say I'm okay with the person stealing from a children's cancer charity, then that kind of ends the conversation for me. It's like, okay,
Yes.
if you are okay with that, then you're okay with that. I am not.
Peace out.
Exactly.
Or pizza
Exactly.
out in this
Pizza
case.
out.
Pizza out.
But I don't have any ill will towards this guy. It just made me wonder, like, what?
Well,
it's so easy to think that everybody knows exactly what I know, and that isn't true.
Or things that were so obvious, so well published. Back to Kevin reading.
Okay, yes, back to Dr. Seuss.
And Kevin reading a book. And he had it held up as a teacher would, reading Green Eggs and Ham as though he was really doing something. It was embarrassing on many levels. The nice thing is there are not a whole lot of polysyllabic words, so he was able to handle the task at hand,
That is a pretty easy book. I think Hop on Pop is probably more his speed.
which I believe is one of them that was taken out.
If anybody isn't paying attention, what's happened is that the publisher of the Dr. Seuss books has decided to pull 6 of its titles out of publication for the time being.
The people who own the rights to the titles.
Right. Books go in and out of print all the time. That's how books work. When a book undersells, they pull it, and then they'll relaunch it a couple years later, maybe to see if there's a different audience. That's just something that happens with books all the time. Now, the reason the publisher chose these particular books is because there is imagery in them that they find problematic, and a lot of people also would find problematic, as far as the way racial stereotypes come out through the drawings and whatnot. Nothing, in my opinion, that is horrible, but definitely stuff that should not be taken out of context. Anyway, but the point of all this is nothing's being banned, no one's being canceled, nothing's being suppressed. It's these 6 books, and let's face it, all of his books aren't in print anyway. I think he wrote about 60 books, and there's like 15 or 20 of them that aren't in print at any given time. So it's one of these fake outrage things, and it's always by the right because they just don't understand or don't want to understand how censorship works and how the free market works. And yeah, and now on top of this is the Pepe Le Pew. Pepe Le Pew was the skunk, the over-amorous skunk from the Looney Tunes cartoons.
Is he in trouble also?
Well, if you read Facebook, yes, you'll believe that he's in trouble, he's being canceled. What really is happening is the producers of the upcoming Space Jam 2, hold for laugh, have decided that they're not going to include him as one of the Looney Tunes characters in this movie.
And
now,
this is because...
Well, it's because if you're familiar with the cartoons, he was very obsessed, infatuated with a cat, which he thought was another skunk, a female cat. And he did everything within his power to seduce her. And sometimes, as it happens in Looney Tunes cartoons, he goes a bit far, and people are equating that with, I guess, with rape culture. Which is, bottom line is, it doesn't matter. Pepe Le Pew is out there. If you want to see Pepe Le Pew, you can see him right now. You can go to YouTube. You can go to wherever, and you can order the DVD packages if you want them. They're not going anywhere.
Wouldn't this be an opportunity to take that character and portray him in a more acceptable fashion than to get rid of him, however?
I'm of the opinion that the Looney Tunes don't exist anymore. It's like kind of like the Muppets. When Jim Henson died, I'm sorry, it's a tribute band. When Jim died, that was really the end of it. And I don't know if you remember this, but in the 90s...
Do you feel the same about Peanuts and all of the others?
Yeah, I probably do.
Creators?
I probably do, yeah. It's interesting with, I guess, certain strips, like, I think, didn't Charles Schultz's son take over the Peanuts strip for a while?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never the same. It just can never be the same.
Well, it's a creative vision. I mean, it's Jim Henson created the Muppets, and he and Frank Oz had the vision. And yeah, you can have somebody else doing Kermit's voice, but it's not Kermit. Beatlemania isn't the Beatles. It can be fun, but it's Beatlemania. I think it was in the 90s they had Bugs Bunny do like anti-marijuana PSAs, which is the most ridiculous thing. Because if anything,
Oh, no.
Bugs would have been a weed guy. You know he would have.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think
he was an
so.
anarchist. He was totally an anarchist. He wouldn't be telling kids to turn their parents in for smoking weed, though.
Why would they even make the association with bugs? And
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
any type of drug. Why would you even? Don't make that connection. He's not
No,
part
it's-
of that world. Leave him alone.
Exactly.
Hop away, little bunners. Hop away.
So I wouldn't trust anybody today trying to sanitize the Pepe Le Pew character.
Well, not
They would do it.
necessarily sanitize him. He can still be himself, but with a little more restraint.
Well, Speedy Gonzalez is gone. They canceled him, and nobody seemed to
¿Por
complain
qué?
about that. Well, because he's a racial stereotype.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason. That's why the Frito Bandito was canceled.
Ay,
that's
ay,
going-
ay, ay.
Exactly.
Well, think
Ay.
about, I am the frito bandito. I love crunchy fritos. I love them, I do. I
Yes.
love crunchy fritos. I get them from you.
Do you
Well, think
remember-
about the old, I don't remember what laundry product it was, but it was the guy going into the laundry service. And do you remember the old stereotype? They are always owned by.
Ancient Chinese secret. That one?
Yes.
Here's your ancient Chinese
That,
secret.
that would never wash anymore. Get it?
No.
That would never wash anymore.
Good pun.
Thanks,
No,
man.
it's funny that the right wing seems to only be concerned with canceling racist things.
And voting
Yeah.
rights. Don't forget voting rights. They don't want those either.
I think that might be for the same reason. Not too long ago, speaking of Dr. Seuss, I'm thinking within the last 10 years, there was a big to-do where right-wing groups tried to get the Lorax canceled because it was
Environmental.
obviously environmental propaganda and it's harming our children. Yeah. So that was cancel culture, if you want to call it that. But it seems to only be racist stuff or things that people call racist that the right wing has a problem with.
Did you watch the big interview Sunday evening? I did not. I was hanging out with my son, and that was
No,
not
we-
what we chose to do with our time. It's quite explosive. It's all the rage.
You're talking about the royal family?
Yes.
Oh, jeez. I would be hard-pressed to find someone that I care less about than anyone associated with the royal family. I'm thinking, though. Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
There are probably 1 or 4 people. No, I think it's interesting. The pageantry can be lovely. Should they make that much money off of the citizens of Britain? No. I was watching some show, the whole thing, though, when they were talking about Archie not getting security and not getting a title. I did learn from a gal from England that because of his position and his number down, he would not be given a title until Charles becomes king. When Charles becomes king, then Archie will get a title. So,
Okay.
Fernie, yes, from a gal named Melanie Bromley, who again is English. So, cleared that mystery up if anybody's wondering.
Now, okay, for listeners who may not understand, and also for me, who definitely does not understand, what is the whole controversy here about? My understanding, my very faint understanding, is that the fact that Prince Harry married
Yes.
a biracial woman doesn't
Yes.
sit well with the royal family. Is that basically what it is?
That's a large part of it. And the British media was just being wicked to her. And all of these other things, and according to her, she was very depressed and had reached out for help, or said she went to the institution and said, I need help. And they said, nope, that would not be a good look for the institution. Apparently, someone who was not the Queen or Prince Philip asked Harry what color or how dark he thought the baby would be when he was born. Yeah, Archie. Having lost his mother at such a young age, he's always been very sensitive to the press and the attacks and the pressure. And when he saw what was happening to his wife, then he has said this multiple times, he was not going to allow the same thing to happen to his immediate family that happened to his mother and destroyed his core family at the time. But then they did cut back on their duties, moved to the United States. But before this whole thing was filmed, taped, whatever, apparently the Queen had canceled the rest of their duties. Prince Charles had stopped taking his calls for a while. So just some nasty family. The whole idea of being a princess may not be quite as much fun as some people think it would be.
Does anybody grow up wanting to be a princess these days? Or did they ever?
I don't know.
I mean, is that like
Oh, little girl said yes. There's when
Still?
you're. I don't know now, but you said did. Oh, it sounded charming. But it's this whole idea that you're frolicking about this kingdom in these lovely, colorful gowns. Now there's got to be an evil somebody somewhere.
trapped in a tower?
Yeah, but without those silly little details of the evil stepmother trapped in a tower, prick your finger sleep, the evil stepmom queen trying to poison you. Outside of those details, there's supposed to be some fantastic prince who's going to come and save you, and when you're 4, you don't necessarily know what any of that means either. But it's colorful, and it's this fantastical realm that it's created, and it just seems fun.
I remember.
And then you turn 7,
Yeah.
and it's over, or 6.
I remember
8.
one of these like cartoon shows that we watched as kids, and they've got the little kids in the audience, and the host is interviewing them in between cartoons, and says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And one kid says, "A dinosaur." It's kind of like that, right? I mean, yeah, that would be fun. I guess.
Why not? Did he realize that his kind was already extinct, except for the Komodo dragon and crocs and alligators and maybe some other things we don't know about?
I don't think anybody threw water on that flame.
Good.
I think he might still be pushing for that goal. Well,
He should get to.
Yeah. You can be anything you want as long as it conforms to the laws of physics.
Yes.
But
I'm going to be a lottery winner.
you can't lose if you don't play.
That's right.
I have to issue a retraction. Last week I was talking about Tattletales, the game show, and I mentioned Charlie Brill. No, I mentioned Marty Brill, the comedian. I meant Charlie Brill, not to be confused with Marty Brill, who's a whole different 70s comedian. So just to set the record straight, that's Charlie Brill.
With the dark curly hair.
Yeah. He looks sort of like, and a big old mustache. That was Charlie Brill and his wife, Mitzi McCall. And again, I have absolutely no clue how these people were famous, how we knew of them prior to being... Because you don't just get invited to be on a game show unless people know who you are, right? It's a chicken and egg thing.
Well, it's interesting. Some of these people that I see on shows now, I have no clue who they are. You turn on an entertainment channel to kind of see what's going on. And the ticker at the bottom has all these updates on so-and-so and so-and-so are getting divorced, or they've announced their first child, or they've done this. I don't know who these people are, which tells me that I don't pay any attention at all to pop culture.
That's to your credit.
And the Jersey Shore people, I have another show.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Oh, how long are they going to milk this thing?
Did they have anything else going on?
Pauly D was going around for a while. He actually came here. Because I guess he's a legit DJ. He and Vinny did a dating show a couple times. Vinny's in some Las Vegas review or some review somewhere where I believe he strips or almost strips. I almost said J-Lo. Jay Wow has a line of tanning products. Situation spent a little time in the big house.
Oh.
Who am I forgetting? Snook. The Snookster. I don't know. I'm sure she had stuff going on. I was watching Supernatural one time, and she had a teeny tiny little bit part, which I was watching the show, and all of a sudden this person shows up, and I thought, well, I know who you are. I know who you are. Why can't I place? Oh, crap. And I think he even made a crack about, can I call you Snooky? And she said, no, it's Nicole now or something.
Was she Jessica Lange now?
She was a demon.
Oh, I don't go by that name anymore.
No. Wow, for somebody who doesn't know much about that, I sure seem to have pretty much, I think I covered them all. There were some other ones that popped in and out.
That's what I hate, is that, why do I know this stuff?
I forgot Sammy and Ronnie. Sammy Sweetheart, she left. Ronnie who it turns out, I mean, he was a beefy dude, but he was only 5'5", which doesn't matter, but he would knock the crap out of people. He stayed through the whole thing, I think, and then ended up a few years ago getting with some gal, and they've got a baby, and it was an incredibly awful relationship. Don't know what's going on with them now. And then Dina, who was a little meatball just like Snook, came in, and then there was some other gal that they asked to leave just a few episodes into the first season, who I think popped in and out of one of the reboots or something. Oh, Lord help me, I've got to go cleanse my brain.
You know, I have a rush with the situation, and I can tell you that no matter how stupid you think the guy is, double that number. He is just a meathead. His older brother was a child actor in a movie, pretty famous slasher film called Sleepaway Camp. He's only in this one scene, but we did a sort of a reunion where some of the cast and the director, it was when the Blu-ray came out, like the anniversary Blu-ray. So we did a thing when we screened the movie, and we had some of the cast there. And maybe an hour before they were set to arrive, I got a call from my friends who said they're doing this reality series now, and they want to know if they can shoot here for this thing. I was like, yeah, that's fine, no problem. So they sent a crew. They're shooting, you know, the situation and his brother and whatever, doing their goofy antics and watching the movie. And at one point, the situation comes up to me, and I happen to be standing behind the concessions counter, like trying to stay out of the way or whatever. And he walks up and wants to order popcorn. And as soon as the cameraman sees that, he turns his camera on. So I see over his situation's shoulder, I see the red light go on. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's shooting this. I might as well do some shtick. So situation comes up and says, do I get free popcorn if I'm in the movie? Which was probably the most brilliant thing he'd said in months. It really was. You could tell by the pride on his face. He was just so... And without skipping a beat, I said, well, that depends. Is your name above the title? There was like this... I could see the words bouncing off of his forehead and hitting the floor. But the cameraman behind him laughed. So...
No free popcorn for him.
No, but then he kind of stared at me, and then he realized, when he realized I was joking, he said, "You're quite a character."
Oh.
So I got that.
Did that make it in? Did that make it into the reality show?
Didn't make it in. You know, I've been cut out of so many movies and television shows. I've been on the floors of more editing rooms than an editor's groupie. That is the truth. I could at least a half a dozen films and either cut out entirely or cut out except for part of my body, so that you just have to believe that it's me. Hey, that's it, you know? You never know.
You're right. And
the pinnacle of all that was when years ago I worked on the Dana Carvey show. Dana Carvey did a very, very short-lived ABC nighttime series after he left SNL, and it was like a kind of an edgy sketch comedy type of thing.
Okay.
And it was really, it was so heavily promoted, but it was a little too edgy, and that's why it kind of died, because it was in prime time. But so it was Dana Carvey. It was produced by Robert Smigel, the guy who, former SNL. He used to do the cartoons for SNL, the TV Playhouse, and he also does Triumph the Insult comic dog. Louis C.K. was one of the writers.
Okay.
The cast included Dana Carvey and a couple of complete unknowns named Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert. Those were in the cast.
Those names sound vaguely familiar.
I think one of them did okay. I'm not sure.
Maybe both.
Yeah, but that was a pretty... So we did this... There's a running sketch, a running bit where Carvey and Carell were pranksters. They were idiot pranksters, where they would be cracking each other up, trying to pull a prank, but the prank was a stupid one. The prank was really on them. That was the premise of each sketch. So I was in two bits. One of them is they're buying tickets to a movie at a movie theater. So they're standing in line outside, and they keep elbowing each other, trying not to crack up. And they get up to the booth, and Louis C.K. is playing the cashier, and they say two tickets for whatever movie, and he sells them the tickets, and then they look at him and they tear up the tickets in front of him and they run away after they paid. So that's their prank, right? So you sort of get the premise.
Yes.
So I was in that one and cut except for my elbow. You see my elbow in it. And then there was another one where they do the same thing only with a prostitute. They're in a hotel room and they negotiate with the... I wasn't, believe it or not. Not that I couldn't have been. I'm not saying I was ugly. So they negotiated...
I wanted to be taken seriously as an actor.
That's right. Once prostitution's legal, then I'll play a prostitute, no problem. But so they negotiate the price with her, and then she goes into the bathroom to freshen up, and they put the money on the bed, and then they run out.
Oh, they're funny.
Right? So that's right. So I was a passerby. It was me and a woman were walking, and they run past us, and I did a double take. So there was a close up of me doing a double take, like what just happened type of thing. Okay. So I'm telling everybody I'm going to be on TV. It's ABC, it's prime time. I could tell my parents all kinds of things that I was doing, but nothing resonated unless it was, it's going to be on TV Wednesday night. That they understood.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, and it turned out it was my birthday even. The episode I was in was going to air on my birthday. Couldn't be better. So my mom is watching, and she says, some cousins are coming over, and they're all gathered around the TV, and I'm sitting there watching. Oh, yeah, guess what? They cut me out completely. Just completely. No reaction shot whatsoever.
Oh, gee.
You would think I was lying, but I really did. Somewhere in the vaults. There's footage
poor
of me.
sweet Lee.
I know.
Has it gone this far, Lee? It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to make up these things.
I did get to work with Louis C.K. a little bit later when he was shooting his TV show in the theater that I run. And I got to briefly touch base with him and say, look, I worked on the Carvey show, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but Louis, it looks like our careers have come full circle because now I'm the one selling the tickets. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Here's another thing. All those people coming to the border with the Let Me In Joe Biden shirt or whatever they read,
mm-hmm.
Where do you think they got those shirts?
I'm afraid I don't know anything about this. So Mexican immigrants are coming, would-be immigrants are coming to the border, and the shirts say what? Biden, let me in?
Okay, Biden, please let us in. San Mexico, March 2nd. And it's people of all ages. Yeah, do you think... And it's Biden with the way he had his name during the campaign. Who do you think's purchasing these shirts?
Were they made in China?
That part I don't know.
If they were, then it's definitely the GOP.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's a big fat ruse.
What would the problem be? I know they're trying to pin something on Biden, but what would that be exactly?
See all these rapists and murderers and really, really bad people. They're not sending their best people, trying to get into our country, and he just wants open borders. He wants to let everybody in. This new wave thing, trying to draw attention to people coming here. Well, now, here we go, Mayorkas, more than 3,200 unaccompanied migrant children in CPD custody. I have not watched that much of the news programs of late because it seems to be a whole lot of the same thing over and over and over, worse than usual. So I'm watching Homestead Rescue and Living Off the Grid, Tree Masters, and good for me things.
Yeah. Did they just give the shirts to rapists and murderers, or what? I mean, if I saw a bunch of 12-year-old cute kids, smiling faces wearing those shirts, would that be a problem?
They seem to be on everyone when they show these group, and we're on this group they just showed were on they're on their knees, kind of holding hands, praying. This group.
Oh, where's the migrant caravan? That should be almost here, right? Remember the migrant caravan from the election?
Perhaps that's part of it, and at a certain stop, you get water and a T-shirt.
You're not a superhero kind of person, are you? Or are you a superhero kind of person?
Yeah. I watch the movies.
You know about this Justice League Zack Snyder cut? It got leaked. Zack Snyder did this 4-hour cut of his original version, I guess, which the problem with that movie wasn't that it wasn't long enough, so I don't know what... Apparently he shot all this other footage and was scrapped because he left the project in the middle of it because I think his son died, and so he left. It's been a big thing, and the Snyder cut, and it's going to be dropping on HBO Max, I guess, on the 18th. But somehow they messed up, and they actually leaked it last night to people who were... Serves them right. To people who were trying to watch the new Tom and Jerry movie. There was a glitch in their software, and apparently like 50 minutes into Tom and Jerry, it suddenly switched to the Snyder cut. So all these people saw this movie they're not supposed to see yet.
The whole movie?
Well, apparently it was about half of the movie, but there's a workaround. Somebody figured out a workaround. Like halfway through it cut back to Tom and Jerry, but there's a workaround for that section so you can get the whole movie. I don't know, whatever. I'll wait.
Oh, wow.
I'm not in a huge hurry to see it, but it's just kind of funny. They've been promoting the heck out of this for months, and then, oops, we pushed the wrong button. Now everybody has it for free.
Uh-oh. I watched the last 2 episodes of Bridgerton.
Of what?
Bridgerton.
I don't know what that is. Tell me.
It's on Netflix, and it's wonderful. It's from around... you actually hear them saying one thing, 1813.
Okay. In 1813, we took a little trip. That one? No.
No. No.
Sorry.
English culture. It's quite a watch. I don't want to say much about it. The characters are well done. The costumes are wonderful. Oh, I do remember mentioning it because perhaps last week they seemed far less interested in race than social status, or if the husband father did something wrong, the whole family was shamed and cut out of society. If anyone else, a member of their family or perhaps a house guest, does something that's wrong, the whole family is outcast. It's very traumatic.
I'm sorry.
I'm over it.
This is... Oh, phew. It's a series?
Yes, they just had the first season out. But not to worry, another one is in the mix, which is wonderful.
See, that's what you get when you binge something. You can play out those emotions in just seconds, right?
The end of Schitt's Creek. Have you watched Schitt's Creek?
You know, I think it was at your recommendation. I started watching Schitt's Creek and loved it. Absolutely got really, really, really into it. And got as far as... Are there 5 seasons?
6.
Or 6 seasons? Okay. I was on season 4, and the first episode I did not like. And I don't remember exactly why I didn't like it. I think it just seemed really formulaic. But anyway, after that, I didn't re-immerse myself in it. So
you got to go back in.
Yeah.
You got to go back in.
Okay.
One house outside town. It was the one inside. There was a fence around the whole thing, and there were still some cattle. And that would be a joke where we might go cattle tipping as well. We never did tip over any cows, though. So no cows were ever harmed.
You know how you tip a cow in New York? 20% if the service is good.
There you go.
Anyway.
I'm sure someone's going to get very upset about that comment.
Please do. Just remember, Mary is the one who said that.
No, Mary did not.
Send in some nasty letters.
Mary's the one who made the point to say that no cattle were ever injured, that we never actually tipped over any cattle.
That's true.
Yes.
Well, there were rumors. I remember rumors, though, in high school that people were doing stuff like that.
Nobody I know, a whole bunch of us, we would go out to the places where the cattle were and maybe walk in, go into the fields, of course, at night, but nobody ever went close to the cows. Because we were crazy. We never did, but it's a funny thing at our family reunions that we do. That one group of kids, somebody spoke up and told the younger ones what was going on. That's a really funny story that's probably not for on air.
Okay. When we get a Patreon page, that'll be like a premium membership kind of story.
I would have to get permission from one of my cousins to tell his story because it is the funniest part of the whole thing. Absolutely hilarious. Our family reunions are every other year. And there's always a group of younger ones. We're Catholic. And so once you learn what the truth is, you can be on the team for the other side. The ones that take them out.
Yes.
And give the instructions.
The bullies.
Some of them you give the sticks and you do the whole thing. Well, we didn't get to have one last summer, which is terrible. But it probably would have been 2 prior to that where some of them knew the truth. And so we take them on, we drop them off. And part of the whole thing is to make noise or do these things. So then we discovered that the horses had been left out. Usually they would get put in the barn at night. But they were out in the big field where we thought some of the kids could be, and that's not a good thing. So a bunch of us went out to see if we could find the kids and get them home. And they were already back at, I call it a cabin, but it's not a cabin. So there are about 100 of us there. And sometimes it takes 2, but yeah. It has 8 separate rooms with sleeping quarters that can sleep 10 in each because they're also subdivided into 2 sections and they all have their own bathrooms in each side. And then there's a big center area. One of them, when you stay at the fancy one, it has a glass back wall and a grand piano. So we're not really roughing it so much in that one because the other ones now have air conditioning. They didn't even have air conditioning back in the day. So the kids were all back there and we're still all running around trying to find them for the longest time. Hanging off the back of vehicles, yelling names, laughing because we've been celebrating. Yeah, it's a funny story. It's not, again, it's one that requires permission.
You didn't just tell it, though?
No.
You left out the best part.
Oh, I left out a lot. I left out a lot. It was funny. We still laugh about it to the day. To this
Never found
day.
Any snipes, though, did you?
Well, can't talk about that part either.
What about jackalopes?
That's also classified.
Jackalopes are
a real creature.
Of course. Between you and me, they're not real.
Yes, they are. I've seen photographs.
They're hybrids, right, of jackrabbits and antelopes. So they're rabbits.
They have antlers.
For all practical purposes, but they have antlers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've seen photographs.
And so, yeah, if you're not from around here, we pretend that they're real. Yeah, so you go into bars and up on the mantelpiece there'll be like a little rabbit's head with antlers. And you say, what's the story with that? Then,
I've never seen just that. I've seen the whole
body,
the whole bunner.
Yeah.
We have sweet little bunners in my backyard, so I'm not going to talk about stuffed bunners anywhere around them.
Okay.
They actually, one or two of them come very close to the door, the sliding glass door, because I bring them fruits and vegetables. Ooh. They're so cute.
You don't have any bobcat around there, do you?
No, we've had a red fox in the neighborhood.
Oh, I love him.
I
love his dirty records.
Not the comedian, the actual four-legged furry. Well, and they're very pretty. About the time when things really started to slow down and people were in, someone tried to say they saw a coyote in the neighborhood, but I think that was not true.
Okay, yeah, because they would, I'm sure if that were true, the coyotes would really appreciate you encouraging the bunnies to let their guard down. But I don't want to go there.
No, not with the little bunners.
Oh, no. I don't know why I was just thinking about this, but you know what pisses me off? These sovereign citizen people. You know who I'm talking about, right? They're a subset of the right-wing loonies who think, I guess, the term sovereign citizen, if they apply that term to themselves and they say certain magic words, that they're exempt from laws or something. Seriously, I think they do. They'll say, I'm a free man. I'm not a part of the corporation of the United States of America. And they're supposed to back off, they think. But
now, here's a question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Not at all.
But I've got to get, if they're not really citizens and they're free to do what they want, but if they're standing there with a gun and somebody tries to take it and then they say, it's my Second Amendment right to have this.
Yeah.
AR-15 standing on the street corner across from the school. It's an elementary, of course. Then all of a sudden, they are citizens and the law is on their side?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they might not have thought this through completely. It's more of a half-baked concept. The half that they understand, they really understand. But the rest of it, you see these videos. There's a guy, I hate to give him a plug, but it's actually kind of funny. He calls himself John Freeman. Get it?
Yeah.
And he does YouTube videos. I think he's in New Mexico. Of course, everybody in this town knows who he is. He's like the rabble rat. He's the guy who videotapes cops, which is a great thing. He videotapes cops whenever they're pulling somebody over so that he can, for protection. It is a good thing that people are doing this. However, his motive is to instigate stuff with the cops. And it's funny from the perspective if you already have problems with cops abusing their power. It's funny to watch him give them their own stuff back, even though he's a dick. I want to stress that. I don't agree with his quote-unquote politics, but it's hilarious. He gets in these cops' faces, and he'll walk up to a cop. It's ballsy, I can tell you that. He'll walk up to a cop, and he'll just say, so what are you doing here? And the cop will look at him like, what? What do you mean, what am I doing here? He goes, yeah, so what? He'll say the same thing that they would say to you if they just walked up, right, to cops. And, it's so ridiculous hearing it from not a cop that makes you go, well, it's ridiculous if a cop says it too. He has no, well, what were you doing a little while ago? Where'd you come from? And the cop's like, well, I was down at the
donut shop.
Okay. Yeah. He's like, okay, keep your hands where I can see them, please. Please. Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, again, I don't like this guy, but this aspect of it is really cathartically hilarious. If you want to see cops, getting a taste of their own medicine, it never really accelerates past that. They know who he is because he's always causing problems, so they kind of roll their eyes and they play along to whatever extent, but those are pretty funny videos. I'll link that in the show links too for anybody who wants to check that out.
I again, because I don't say names, someone who we graduated with, I spoke to recently and said they really were enjoying the shows, which is nice. Yes. Yeah. I
sincerely hope, in all seriousness, I think, I'm not under any pretense that we're creating the best show that's ever been put out.
What?
We're doing a great job. What I'm saying here is there's an audience for what we're doing. I know that. And I just sincerely wish or hope that the audience finds the show. That's all. I don't want my friend, I said this before, I don't want any of my friends or coworkers or whatever to feel like they need to listen to it out of obligation. I don't want that.
Maybe we should have T-shirts.
We could do it.
I have a friend who has a T-shirt company here.
All right.
And the T-shirts are really nice. They're really soft and they're really affordable.
Okay, well, that is definitely a possibility. My son Jack, who has a podcast, which he streams live on Twitch, just got to the point where he's going to do merchandise. Like, you have to get to a certain level, and then they offer that option. So he's going to start. Oh, I shouldn't have told you that. He's going to. Oh, well, no, actually, this show will air after he's going to drop the news tonight on his show.
Fantastic.
But
if you need somebody to do his T-shirts, let me know.
Well, thank you. I think it's already done. I think the situation is all set up as far as all you do is provide the artwork, and then they do T-shirts. I think magnets, bumper stickers, maybe coffee mugs.
White T-shirts, right?
You know what? I'm assuming they're black just because it's a wrestling thing.
Oh, yes.
Most of those guys wear black because it's slimming.
I selfishly went back to ours.
If you've ever been to a wrestling show,
I have not. But I've watched it on TV.
Okay. If you're ever at a wrestling show, you will learn that black is not, in fact, slimming. And that's no offense. No offense. Wrestling fans
even black has its limits.
Yes. Wrestling fans are my favorite. I mean, they really, in all sincerity, I think wrestling fans and horror fans are like the most devoted, best fans there are. I don't know anime fans. Maybe they're better. I don't know them. So if you're an anime fan and you got a problem with what I just said,
welcome.
hug your waifu a little tighter and write us a note. Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, welcome to everyone. It's wonderful. I do sincerely hope that anybody who wants to listen to this show can. And what's frustrating is, I mean, I know we're not doing this so that 100 million people can listen, but
what?
Well, I mean, it would be great, but there's such a complicated algorithm that goes on in YouTube and on the podcast that you don't get promoted until you hit a certain level. So you basically
What is that level?
Well, that level is apparently 100 subscribers. So if anybody's listening out there and hasn't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do that. It seems like it doesn't make any difference, but it actually does make a difference. If we get to 100 subscribers, suddenly our options open up as far as various things. And as Jack was telling me, getting from 20 subscribers to 100 subscribers is almost infinitely harder than getting from 100 to 1,000. Once you get to 100, then YouTube helps spread your word. So like in other words, if you're looking at YouTube videos, along the right side of your screen are recommendations. Some of them might be things you've already seen. That's all based on YouTube's crazy analytics of what they think you might want to watch. Now, our podcast isn't going to show up in any of those until we get to a certain level. And then they'll recommend us to people who might be listening to some other podcast. That's how it should work already. You know, it's like there's no reason to plug our show in, let's say, a wrestling forum or an anime forum or something like that. But there is a place to promote our podcast where the people who want to watch or listen can do so. We don't have the power ourselves to get it out there. That's what's frustrating. You know, we do everything we do. We make it, we put it out there, and then, you know, God bless you for listening to it. It's a little frustrating because it should, and again, I don't care about 100 million people or 3 million people. I don't know what our audience really is. You know, it could be thousands, it could be tens of thousands. I don't know, but I wish those people had a chance to listen to it. That's all.
That was good.
Thanks.
That was very good.
Phew.
I
would take the rest of the day off.
I might go scrub a floor. No, I have to vacuum and then shampoo some carpet. Somebody cue Sheila E.
She was a glamorous life.
One of my friends and I have a joke about that, and I can't remember if I told you about it. She doesn't have to do as much work around her house anymore. But then we talked about it, cleaning up dog poop. They have 2 big dogs. And I had started singing that one day out, cleaning up dog poop was a joke. And then when I'm inside, when I'm being Cindy Eller, I now sing that song to myself and just laugh. It makes some of the more mundane and just really awful tasks much more bearable. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Do you ever think about like listening to like putting headphones on, having a podcast on while you're doing stuff like that?
I have.
Not one of ours. I just mean, you know.
No, a lot of times 80s music works best for that kind of stuff because it's fun. I remember being out dancing, and most of it's just happy music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're on your hands and knees scrubbing floors, you got to have some happy.
Yes,
I scrub floors the old-fashioned way, and it is the best way. You don't even really need chemicals. Hot water, I'll use an oils cleaner, though, or just oils. Good oils, no synthetics. But then you have to follow behind with a dry towel.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they invent a contraption that's sort of attached to a long stick so that you should actually stand and scrub the floor with a pushing motion?
I have one of those.
You do?
Somebody
Okay.
broke it. But the thing is, it still leaves residual water behind.
Mm-hmm.
And the residual water can be dirty. There's still dirt in it, no matter. So you got to dry it off. Learned that from a friend who owns a cleaning company. And it's the right way. If you don't want to do it all the time, don't do it all the time. I can get that.
No, so I'm going to guess that you are completely against a Roomba, right?
No, I wouldn't be
Like,
against it.
Threatened by a Roomba?
No, I would probably welcome one. Remember, 2 dogs, lots of shedding.
Oh, and you probably have seen pictures too, photos too of people who,
kitties.
Well, people who had, I'm thinking of a specific one where somebody's Roomba, somebody's dog, I guess, had shit on the floor. And the Roomba, the Roomba just spread it everywhere, as Roombas do. Yeah.
I was going for
helpful.
The cute ones where the little kitty is riding up.
Oh, I've seen that too. Yeah. Well, that's the
different perspectives.
I think that might be in a nutshell. If we could illustrate it with one meme, it would be Mary, and there's a picture of a cat on a Roomba.
Kitty.
And then the kitty on a Roomba. And the second panel would be Lee, and there would be a room covered with shit.
Yeah.
That would be it. So the Olympics are coming up, right? Is that true? The Olympics are coming up in the summer?
Summer.
In Japan, yeah?
Yes.
I read that the oldest living person on Earth is a Japanese woman, and she's 118 years old, and they're going to let her carry the torch, I guess.
Yes.
So, was it wise to bring this up so far in advance, honestly? I mean, good for her, I hope, but really? I mean, Bob Hope didn't even plan his 100th birthday, kind of superstitious.
I don't know.
Maybe she should get a head start.
Yes, if it ends up working out for her, fantastic. If it doesn't, dang it. But at least during this time, if it doesn't, she's had this fantastic thing in front of her. And then if it does work out, it's like SeaWorld, cherish the elderly.
Do we have number 2 in place, just in case? I mean,
gross.
Who would number 2 be?
They're not going to say anything like that. That's icky.
It just seems a little bit premature to make that announcement,
I would imagine that they have someone in mind, but you certainly aren't going to say anything about it.
Right. I mean, when you're 118, isn't it more or less a day-to-day thing?
I don't know. I'm not 118.
I would think. I didn't think that you were. I'd say this, Mary. If you were 118, you wouldn't look a day over 100.
Thanks. You're the best.
I mean, do the math. That's
because your eyesight would be so crappy you wouldn't be able to tell because you'd be the same age.
Well, that's probably true, but who's this Kirsten? Is it Kirsten or Kristen? Cinema. The hell's the deal with her? She ran as a progressive Democrat.
Yeah.
And now she's a moderate Republican.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah.
Did she change, or was it a grift?
Grift, I believe.
Grift to get into office, and now she's. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you saw her little curtsy and bow, dressed in her little Korean schoolgirl uniform. Did you see that?
No.
When they're doing the vote, I guess, which vote was it? It was the vote on minimum wage, I guess. The procedure is you walk up to the desk there, and then you vote yes or no. She curtsies up there. She's wearing this little skirt, it's like a schoolgirl fetish thing. She's got a Gucci bag around her shoulder, and she just sachets up there and then does this overarching thumbs down like she's in the Roman Colosseum, and then she marches back.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have put my foot out and tripped her on the way back, but probably why I'm not in the Senate.
Bye.